Hello and welcome to Popalong RC, and today we are talking about how to get the best out of your budget RC cars when racing. So if you're a regular to the channel, you will know that we're all about RC car racing and specifically club racing, but we have also been to an international competition which was the MKGP, where Mark was running his team associated B6.4. However, that is a top of the end kit, and today is all about our budget cars. So the main car that we have been racing over the last few years has been the Tamiya TT01E, and we have got those cars dialed in perfectly for carpet racing. We've also run them at the Iconic Cup. Recently though, we have made the transition over to the Tamiya TT01 truck. Now, because we are running slightly different spec and completely different tyres, my car is a long way from being set up for racing. However, this week I have managed to get out on two occasions running two budget cars. Over on this side we have got the ready to run team associated RB10. I've been racing this one over at South Cams, and this week I thought I would take some of my carpet racing knowledge from the touring cars and the TT01s and try and transfer it onto this to see if it made the car any better. Also this week I have been out with this one here, which is my Atom 1, the GT12. This car, I bought the chassis for £40, so this is like a real cheap second-hand car which I have been working on over the last few months. So to start with, let's take a look at the progress we've made with the GT12. I am here at Milton Keynes Radio Control Car Club, and today I am playing with the Atom. Now then, let's take a closer look at some of the changes I've made for today. To make me go faster, I started out the day with a Lewis Hamilton monster drink. I need every last little bit of help I can get. So, back over to the GT12. First round, unfortunately, my transponder wasn't reading on all the laps. There was a couple of other people had the same issue because one of the wires was loose on the timing loop, but that's all been sorted now. So, if we look at the top 10 average laps for the GT12, I was running just over 13 seconds a lap. And I was running this motor here. So this is the Aries Pro 13.5. Now then, Alex, absolute legend, suggested I borrowed his Surplus motor, which is this one here. Again, 13.5 turn. This is the V4. Now, it's over a second a lap quicker. Not only for my fastest lap, but for my top 10 average also. So it is a much quicker motor, still 13.5 turns. So I made a few too many mistakes in the last round, so I need to just dial it back a little bit, try and get the consistency up, and I'm chasing 24 laps. So the new motor definitely made a difference. My average 10 and my fastest lap were a second a lap quicker, and I did manage to get a 24 lapper. What this also meant is that because I was travelling a little bit quicker, I was in a competition with a slightly different driver this week. And this week I had a fantastic battle with a young driver, Sonny. Absolutely amazing racing. He drove some really solid laps there, and we were literally lap after lap following each other around. Either of us make a mistake and we were swapping places on the track. Here's some footage you can see here from the final where we were really following each other around really tight. There were 7 in our final, and we were a few laps ahead of some of the slower drivers, so back markers did become a factor that we had to bear in mind when racing. So as you can see here in final, I start third on the grid. I know that Indy in fourth is about a second a lap quicker than me, much faster on the track. He just didn't have the greatest of qualifying today, so I wanted to let him through sooner rather than later so that we didn't slow each other up, because my target was to try and beat Sonny, because we'd had some close battles in qualifying. So I had a little bit of work to do at the beginning of the race, but I managed to get nice and close to him, and I think one little mistake from him and I had jumped ahead, but we had lap after lap of super close racing. I was trying to keep the lines nice and tight, at times driving defensive, but as I say, we were really close running around this morning. Now then, there's one thing we do need to take into consideration here, and that is back markers. Because we were a couple of laps faster than some of the slower drivers in the race, we were doing some lapping. And whenever you're lapping back markers, there is always a risk that you might touch shells, or it might slow up your laps. And it just added another dynamic to the race, really. Both of us got through traffic really well at times, and both of us also got caught up in traffic and had a few collisions. But what it did mean is the race went down to the last lap. So as you can see here, we're coming on to the last lap, and I'm continuing to put pressure on Sonny. He's coming a little bit tight there, clipped the corner dot, and I managed to make the move. This is the last lap of the race, and as I come through this turn, I get clipped by a back marker, and Sonny's back through, and there's no time left for me to catch up, and that is the end of the race. Fantastic driving, Sonny. Fantastic driving from Indy as well today. Really enjoying this GT12, but I honestly think I have taken this car pretty much as far as I can take it. At the moment it is stripped back down, so the motor, I've got the motor that I was running back in the car. I've not actually fitted it in properly because, do you know what, it just isn't competitive enough. A second a lap, and when you're doing 24 laps in a race and you're doing about a 12-second lap, that is nearly 2 laps down. So it's just not quick enough. I haven't got many more races actually with this car, because I have got plans to upgrade the GT12 and move on to a slightly different car there. Anyway, enough about the carpet racing with the GT12. Let's move over to the team associated buggy. So this is a ready to run car. I have run it 4 times now. The first time I ran it over at Slough, and it was literally straight out the box. The only thing that I changed was the tyres, because everyone there runs exactly the same tyres. Then after that I took it to South Cams Club, and I had the YouTuber race. And in the YouTuber race I gave Tom Lee RC a really good run for his money in qualifying. Unfortunately, he found some consistency in the final and absolutely destroyed me, because I just haven't got the speed in the car. I then went back to South Cams Club for their buggy blast and had a fantastic day's racing against Simon. Really fun, really close racing. The fact that our fastest laps, our top 10 average and our average laps were all within a second of each other, it just meant that I had the best time racing this car. And then the last time I went out was this week. I took this back over to South Cams, and I thought I'd try something a little bit new. So here it is, the RB10. Now, what have I learned about this car? What I learned is, out of the box, it is a little on the high side. So what I've done is I've put some spacers in the shocks just to lower the car a little bit, and that did help a little bit with grip. However, I'm still struggling with front end grip, and part of that is because the motor is here hanging out the back of the car. So what happens, as you get on the power, the car wants to do this. It wants to sit down, it wants to wheelie. And as soon as you unweight the front of the car, you've got no steering because the wheels are coming off the ground. So what I've done is I've thickened up the oil in the rear shocks so that there's a little bit more force there, a little bit more of a pushback, so that the car sinks less as it accelerates. What I've also done is I've run the rear shocks slightly higher than the front. Okay, so as it does sink, it still brings the car up to level and there's still a little bit of weight going through the front wheels. And that again has helped with the front end steering. However, I still wasn't getting enough and I wasn't able to get on the throttle through the turns. So at the moment I was, originally I've been running the yellow tyres, and Schumacher do a silver tyre which is even softer. So I thought if I put a slightly softer set of tyres on the front, the grip balance should be a little bit grippier at the front and a little bit looser at the back, which should help me turn in. So this week at Cam's I headed down there with some silver tyres on the front in the hope that this car was going to do a lot better. Now, it's fair to say that not everything that I do works, and this is one of those situations where it just didn't work. So what I decided to do then, after the qualifying, there was about a 5-minute break before the finals, and I qualified for the bottom final. So I put a spare battery in my pocket, I went out on the track and I did 5 laps. What I actually did is I changed back to the yellow tyres, which are the original tyres, and actually the car was handling a lot better. So I did lap after lap after lap, tested the motor, it was still cool, switched over my battery, and then I got into the race, and do you know what? I managed to get a PB. I'd been chasing a lap for the whole day, and the final came and I finally managed to get my 20 lapper. Based on the laps I did in the final, I came first in the D final. If I had been able to reproduce that in the C final, I would have ended up 3rd or 4th in the C final. So the yellow tyres definitely work. I've had a fun week of racing this week, but the key thing with any of these entry-level cars, it all comes down to making the most of the car setup. For the Atom over here, when I first started running this car, I found it to be quite twitchy. I had a chat with some of the local drivers. They used to race this car before the Atom 2 came out, and they know these cars inside out. They advised me on some changes to make with regards to the oils, on the damping, and having done that and made the changes that they suggested, this car is now performing and handling really, really well. With the buggy, again, I have made changes based on my knowledge of cars, and I've slowly but surely got a little bit more out of this car. However, I do feel I might be getting towards the limits of what I can get out of this car. I mean, there are some pro drivers out there, I'm sure, that could get this car around the track a lot quicker than me, but I believe I am doing alright with this car. I often get asked, where's Mark, where's Mark? Well, at the moment, myself and Mark are on slightly different, let's say, shift patterns, as it were, because he's been doing a bit of work at the weekends, whereas I've been busy in the week, which means he's racing midweek and I'm racing at weekends. This week, Mark did visit a new club on Thursday, and when he was there, there was a guy running an RB10. And I think he's actually called me out and he wants to challenge me racing the RB10. So I will be heading to another club very soon to race my RB10 and see how it fares against other RB10s. With regards to the truck, now this car, I've got a lot of work to do. I haven't even started the journey with car setup and things like that. So this one here is definitely a work in progress. So if you're into your RC car racing, please like, subscribe, hit the old ding dong bell. If you'd like to learn more about affordable ways to get into racing, whether it's a Tamiya TT01, TT02, a ready to run buggy, or a second hand racing car, we are trying to accommodate everybody who is interested in RC car racing and wants to give it a go. So if you've got any questions, ping them in the comments down below, and hopefully we will see you trackside soon.